Hello and welcome to IT Chronicles. My name is Casanova. We're here in Las Vegas at the Gartner Data Center Conference. I'm here with my co-host Charlie Betz.
Carlos.
And Ram Rao from Asurion.
Hello.
Welcome. So Ram, we probably know, most people know Asurion from a technology protection type of perspective, but you're here speaking at the Gartner Conference, not from what you do as a company,
business,
but really as a customer and a transformation internally in terms of how you guys have transformed your operations and platform as a service. And tell us a little bit about not so much just the presentation, but what did that mean to you guys, and kind of the drivers behind that.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me here. Asurion is a global company in 4 continents and around 19 countries. And one of the challenges we face constantly is that our partners who are telephone carriers are moving very fast in the industry. They're trying to look for solutions and look for more insights from us that can help them get a competitive edge in the market. So our traditional approaches for how we build software and how we actually delivered solutions using on-premise solutions was not necessarily scaling to the needs of our clients globally. So we adopted a cloud-first approach of building solutions, but we actually added an additional twist to it. We did not choose the infrastructure as a service route, and we chose platform as a service, which fundamentally is basically writing to the platform provider by a cloud service.
Right.
Very interesting. And of course, infrastructure as a service versus PaaS is a big conversation, big decision to make. What were some of the things that figured into that decision for you? What were some of the services that you found compelling from the platform provider?
So one of the things we observed was that not all cloud providers, at least when we started in our journey 2 years back, were ready for all of the PaaS functions. However, when we started to work with them closely, but one of the big challenges with infrastructure as a service for us was that our internal IT technology and infrastructure organizations were actually coming pretty close to the capabilities of fast provisioning, self-provisioning and stuff. So we were not getting enormous competency in terms of speed and time to market. So platform as a service, we have empirically found we at least improve our efficiency of software delivery by 50 to 60% when we write directly to the platform.
Well, that's a great improvement. I mean, the point you just made, I always find interesting when I hear organizations, and I was just speaking to someone this morning at breakfast about, we do all these things, we companies, do all these things internally anyway. So if you can improve your efficiencies internally, then why would you go to an infrastructure as a service or platform or whatever? But it's kind of interesting to hear. You're probably one of the first that we've spoken to at the conference that went through that cycle, got to a certain point, so we've maximized basically where we can go internally.
Right.
So you didn't do it just because, hey, some manager said we're going in that direction.
Right.
You had already maximized it, it sounds, and that's,
Right.
I mean, I haven't heard many say it that way.
Yeah, well, I think PaaS. I mean, there's obviously there's ups and downs. There's always some concern about lock-in, and of course, PaaS is a very broad topic. As I think about the various offerings that are out there, of course, you can take advantage of the data persistence. You can take advantage of the queuing. You can take advantage of the continuous delivery pipelines. Which of those can you tell us a little bit more about which aspects of PaaS? I mean, you're just using all the different possibilities, or obviously probably not.
Not everything, of course. Yeah. But here's the approach we took. Our approach and our policy is that if something already is provided by the platform, use that before you go and buy a product or build it yourself.
Sure.
So we don't use everything because not all applications need all the stuff.
Right.
But we do try to leverage as much as possible from the platform. Now, to your other point about platform lock-in and other things, I mean, all of us have been in the industry, and lock-in comes in many different forms and shapes. Whether you can call it lock-in as a PaaS provider, or lock into a software that you bought internally on premise.
Right.
And the idea of I will be migrating this and porting this to something else very rarely happens.
It's sad but true.
Right.
Yeah.
And then what we are looking at, and then even if all of those are true, the lift we get in terms of time to market is still enormously higher than the time it takes for us to rewrite it again.
Right, and that's your risk-reward model, right?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
You recognize, and that's the thing, right? It's always just, we recognize it, we acknowledge that there's this risk, and it's a conscious decision.
Right.
And we know it's there, and if we have to deal with it because things go south 3 years, 10 years down the road, then you figure it out from there. So yeah, so I guess that's the big thing. I mean, internally, culturally, I'm assuming that must have been a big
It's a huge
transformation,
huge change,
maybe
huge
bigger than
change.
the actual
Yes.
technological side. How did you deal with that? Because that could easily kill the 50-60% growth that you said, or benefit, just culturally, if that doesn't happen.
Yeah, so the biggest impact tends to be usually in infrastructure organizations
Yeah.
who tend to, not because it impacts them as such, but they look at this thing as something that it's a standard issue with cloud, is that what am I doing in my infrastructure if I'm using a cloud provider, right? So we had to actually bring all of our infrastructure organization along on the journey and transition them to a different model of doing things. But as far as application teams are concerned, they are super excited about using
Right,
this.
sure.
I mean, it's the best new toy for them to play with, and then all the APIs that exist out
Right.
there, they love to play with that.
Yeah, it's an API call. It's an API call to get a new resource. You're not in some ticketing relationship with the engineering organization.
Right.
And I think it's a real wake-up call for the engineering organizations who think that they can sit there behind a service catalog with a ticketing interface,
Right.
and expect everybody to go through some 2-week engineering review cycle and proposal cycle.
Right.
I'm sorry, no. I want a queue, I want a database, I'm just going to stand it up, and I want it in 30 seconds if I can define
Right.
it quickly,
Right.
And it's not
mean-
unreasonable anymore,
Yeah, I mean, the reality is
Yeah.
we are going to be in a hybrid cloud world.
Yeah.
We are always
Yeah.
going to have some internal assets. Networking and all those things will exist in this place. But what we are looking to transform our infrastructure organization is towards more of a DevOps function,
Yes.
which is where most of the roles and the responsibilities will evolve in the next few years.
Right, right. Now, I do think that, I think it is a question for where does the traditional I&O professional go? Obviously, you don't need as many people if you have greater automation and, instantaneous provisioning. However, the challenge with, I think, all cloud providers is that ultimately it's not magic. And as you scale these things, you are dealing with real computers and real bits on real disks and on real wire
Right.
and real CPUs. And so you still need some infrastructure talent.
Right. We absolutely need that. As I said before, we don't put our private data on the cloud. We put a lot of our private internally. So we manage all of that stuff internally still.
that's a big one, yeah.
That's the way we ensure quality of our security to our clients. And so we still need a lot of our infrastructure folks. It's just that we're just trying to make an attempt to change what they do tomorrow. It's not like we don't need them.
Yes, very good.
Well, thank you so much, Ram, for coming. Look
thing.
forward to it. So you're speaking in a half hour?
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
so folks out there, can kind of check that out. Thanks again, and look forward to more success from you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right.